Hello friends, my name is Leigh and I create videos about photography as an art and as a lifestyle. Today we are doing a good old-fashioned Q&A. I reached out to y'all on social media and asked for your questions, and I grabbed a whole slew of them that came in the first 24 hours, and let's get to answering them. The first one is Max Color Photography. Hello, I hope you're having a nice day. Thank you, I am. I had coffee with my bestie this morning. And here's my question. Do you have any recommendations on how to start getting stronger to carry camera gear on a hike? I noticed you, Raymond, and a number of other photographers I admire are all really strong. I know I would solve this by carrying lighter gear, but most of my favorite full frame lenses out there are zooms, and you know how heavy those guys can get. Yeah, I agree. Everything can get really heavy, and I myself have started carrying lighter gear more and more often. But one way that oh, and by the way, thank you for calling me strong. I will take that compliment. But I have noticed in the last couple of years that my own strength has decreased greatly because I had a couple of back surgeries. I haven't been back on my feet. So the other day, earlier this week, joined a new gym. It is a high intensity interval training gym. So you go in for classes and they just work your butt, strength, cardio, and yeah, that's one of the things that I am doing to try and get stronger, is just strength training, good old-fashioned strength training. But a couple of other things that I can recommend to you are having a good bag, a good backpack for your camera gear that you can carry if you are wanting to carry gear on your back. My favorite pack is the Atlas Athlete pack. I love it because it is you can make the camera compartment bigger or smaller. It carries really well. It's customizable. Go onto their website. In fact, I will link to them in the description of this video. And it's a great pack. It's my favorite for hiking. Oh, and you can put a water bladder in it too, which is a bonus. And then, oh yeah, the third way is because of, carrying a camera on a camera strap is sometimes great. And I don't mind doing that. A lot of times I'll carry it crossbody if I'm on a hike. But I also, if I'm carrying heavier gear, I like to use my cotton carrier harness. It's a big harness and you have your camera right in the middle of your chest, and that can be really helpful too if you're on longer hikes with any kind of heavier gear. I'll link to them in the description as well. Next question is from Marvin G Photography. Hi, I currently own a Z6 and I'm thinking of getting a second body, but I'm undecided between the Z6 II and Z6 III. I've shot with both in the past and both handled beautifully. What would you guys advise if having to choose between the two bodies? Well, I don't know why you are choosing to get a new body. I don't know if you just want a backup and you're going to make your Z6 your backup, or if you are finding something lacking with the Z6. I don't know why you want a new camera. So I'm just looking at if someone wants to purchase either the Z6 II or the Z6 III, which one would I recommend? And it's going to depend upon the person. But with you having said that you shot with both cameras in the past and you said they both performed beautifully, I would say if you didn't notice a big difference between the two, you don't need the Z6 III. Go for the Z6 II and save some money, maybe even get it used. Next question is from Eddie. What's your opinion or perspective on how Nikon is making a shift from photo focus to almost a video focus? Thoughts on the Nikon ZR? Well, I don't think Nikon is fully, shifting their focus from stills to video, but they are expanding in that way. And video is an expected feature on all mirrorless cameras these days. So I don't really have any thoughts on the Nikon ZR. It's just not in my wheelhouse to be looking at those super video intensive cameras. It's not relevant to me, so I really haven't followed it very much. But I would say that luckily the cameras that are coming out these days are absolutely amazing and stellar for still photography. So even though they do have video capabilities, if you don't use them, you don't use them. Whatever, just focus on your stills. Next question is from Travel Robert 322. Hey, my question is currently that I have a Canon PowerShot SX70HS. Can you recommend a lightweight mirrorless setup that doesn't break the bank? Okay, so again, I don't have information on why you want a different camera. I don't even fully know what you might mean by a lightweight mirrorless setup. So here's what, oh, and you said break without breaking the bank. And I don't know what your budget is. Breaking the bank is different for everybody. So here's what I can say. The current lineup on any camera brand, Nikon, Canon, Leica, Lumix, OM system, I'm sure I'm forgetting some, they are all amazing. Everything in the current lineup, no matter the sensor size, is so good, and I can recommend all of it with a straight face. However, you are talking about a lightweight mirrorless setup. So I am going to recommend to you to look into Micro Four Thirds, the Micro Four Thirds mount. OM System and Lumix are currently the big names in that. I absolutely love using my own OM System gear because not only are the bodies smaller and lighter weight, but the lenses are too. So take a look into that, see what you think, and I hope that helped. Next question is from Naturalic. Hi, I need a live streaming tutorial. This is one that I cannot help with because I've never live streamed on my own before. I have only ever live streamed through another company or person. So I need one too. So if any of you out there have done any live streaming and have seen a good tutorial, link for Naturalic and the rest of us down in the comments. Next question is from MHD Koning, I think. What's the best portrait lens for Sony E-mount full frame? I have a Sigma 85mm f1.4. Is there a lens that beats it? Okay, the Sigma 85mm f1.4 DGDN art lens is stupendous. I own it for L-mount, but I also did use it ahead of launch for E-mount, and it is an amazing portrait lens. I would use that any day of the week for portraits. If you're looking for other options, Sigma just announced a 135mm f1.4, which I'm sure is really good. It'll get you a little bit closer cropped in, a little more shallow depth of field. And then another lens that I own is the Viltrox 135mm f1.8 lens. I own it for Nikon Z mount, but it is made for Sony E mount, and that is also an amazing lens, and it's relatively inexpensive for what you're getting. So those are a couple that I would recommend looking at if you are looking for something different. Otherwise, that Sigma 85mm, beautiful. Next question is from Mike Sagara. What do you recommend for portable backup storage when traveling? I do a couple of different ways of backing up my photos when I'm traveling. First option is usually for kind of the shorter trips. I bring a couple of memory cards and I take my photos onto the memory card, and then at the end of the day, I transfer the images to either my computer or my iPad, and that stands as my backup. And then I just don't delete or format the cards. I just keep shooting on those same cards. That's option one. I usually do that for shorter trips. For longer trips, I usually every night back up my images to my computer or my iPad, but then I also use an external SSD. They're small, they're lightweight. Storage is pretty inexpensive these days as storage goes, so that's what I usually use. Next question is from Harlequin777. What is a camera? What is a camera? I think you're looking for a deep answer there, and I simply don't have one for you. So everybody else down there, do you have something interesting to say to Harlequin? What is a camera? Moving on to CameraPunk4109. While editing photos and videos, what's your go-to music or show to help pass the time? Mine is REM and Batman the Animated Series or Smallville. That's a great question. I have been listening to podcasts or audiobooks lately. I don't listen to music as often as I used to. You know what? I go through phases where I want to listen to Led Zeppelin while I'm editing, or I want to listen to meditation music while I'm editing. But lately it's been like podcasts and audiobooks. I just downloaded a new audiobook that's actually really short. It's called The Gift of Not Belonging. I'm really excited to start it because I am the perpetual not belonger, if that makes sense. I never feel like I belong anywhere, so I'm really interested to read that book. help me settle into my own skin a little bit better, hopefully. All right, next question is from JWool27. What's the best telephoto for wildlife and action shots for the SL/L mount as of today? Is it the SL3 and 90-280 plus crop, or the Sigma 150-600? There are many options today. Interested in real-world feedback. It's a great question because there are a bunch of options today. The SL3, I'm assuming that's the camera that you're using. The 90-280, the Leica 90-280 is an amazing lens. It's really heavy for what you're getting, I guess. So I don't really recommend that lens, even though I have used it and it produces wonderful results. I do own the Sigma 150-600 that you mentioned. I own that for L mount, and it's a great lens. I've been using it for years at this point. I've used it on Leica lenses or Leica cameras, Lumix cameras, and it's wonderful. But I have also used a couple of other options. The Sigma 500mm f5.6 prime lens, I've used that with a couple of their teleconverters. That's a really nice lens. The Sigma 300-600mm f4, oh, that's a dream lens, but it is really heavy and very pricey. And then more recently, Lumix came out with the 100-500mm f5-7.1. That is also an amazing lens. I got superb results from that, and it is a compact and lightweight lens for what you're getting. So I would say that either, for me, for most people, I think either that Sigma 150-600 or the newer Lumix 100-500, which is much smaller and lighter weight. Yeah, I would say that those two are kind of neck and neck for me personally. Although those other two Sigma lenses that I mentioned are brilliant. So I don't think there's any one best, but if you're looking at them, look at the weight, but the results from all of them are going to be great. Next question is from Frank Piercy. Hey Frank, I haven't talked to you in a while. Frank takes wonderful waterfall images and such. Are you still printing out prints of your shots? And if so, what printer and papers are you using these days? Also, when you did your books, what did you use to lay out the pages, or was that a wizard on the printer's website? Thank you. Oh, yeah, I still print. I have the old Canon Pixma Pro 100. They no longer make that, but they do make some newer versions of it. Mine still works, so I simply haven't gotten rid of it. I just keep replacing the ink. And so I can recommend those Canon Pixma Pro printers. And then, oh, when I did my books, what did I use to lay out the pages? So I've done several different types of books. When I was creating my more magazine style books, I would download a template from the magazine maker's website, which just had basically where your bleed was and stuff, just kind of told you generally where you should put stuff on the page. And then I would create my own layouts within that in Photoshop. But then when I went to, what was the last company I used? Pinhole Press was the last company I used to create a little hardback book. I used their wizard to create it. You definitely lose flexibility when you do that, but it is so much easier. Yeah, I could definitely recommend Pinhole Press if you're wanting to create a book. Next question is from Bag Fry Vortex. How do you feel about power zoom lenses? From Nick. You know what? They're just not my thing. Takes too long. I really enjoy the manually turning of the zoom ring. But I don't think, there's nothing wrong with them. It's just not my thing. Next question is from Mark G. Adams. Hi, Leigh. What is your favorite focus mode for everyday shooting? Oh, this is a great question. I generally use AFC, wide focus area with eye detect with F1 set to tracking override on my Nikons. I hope that isn't too boring and geeky. That is absolutely not too boring and geeky. I love talking about cameras and camera settings and getting down into the weeds. My answer is probably pretty boring. I like to use AFS and single point. That is my favorite way to shoot. If I'm shooting wildlife or fast action or portraits, I generally will mix it up and start trusting the camera with tracking and eye detection and animal detection, things like that. But my cameras are generally set to single servo, single point. Last question is from Joe McCluskey. You get to use a lot of different brands of cameras and lenses. What is your go-to setup and why? This is a great last question. This is a great one to end on. I do get to use, I'm fortunate to be able to use lots of different cameras and lenses. And I do try to use everything that's in our collection. I really try not to use the same thing over and over again because it helps me to keep myself fresh, just using different things, grabbing different combinations off my shelves or when I'm borrowing things. It really keeps my brain fresh. So I like to mix it up. But if I had to choose one camera and lens for any given day, I mean, gosh, this is such a difficult question. I could go back and forth and I could name 10 different situations when I would be going out, museum, hike, going out to just walk around outside at a street fair, and I could choose a different setup for each one. But one of my go-tos when I don't know what I'm going to be doing, if I'm just going out for the day and I want to take a camera, I love my Leica Q2. It's just fun. So I think that's where I will end today. Thank you all so much for your questions. They were great questions today. It really, some of them really got me to thinking, like questioning, are cameras going more into video, and is the video side eclipsing the still photo side? And what is my favorite way to shoot autofocus wise? And what brand of cameras and lenses, and what do I normally like to use? It's just good for me to think about these things instead of my normal, I get a loaner gear in, I'm using that loaner gear, and then I'm off to the next thing. This kind of got me to thinking a little bit more. So thank you very much. And that's all, everybody. Please like this video if you enjoyed it at all. Subscribe to the channel, and thank you for watching.